It's time to go over stateside for the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Command given then for the Hy-Vee INDYCAR race weekend, race 1, and we come up to the main screen, which is just about working. There we are. If we press the right buttons, and we welcome in Jackson. Hello Jackson, welcome. And well, a first ever pole position on an oval for the 26 Gamebridge Honda, part of Andretti, as they roll off pit lane. Colton Herta, first oval pole.
Yeah, fantastic effort there from Colton Herta. A bit of a strange kind of effort there with the hybrid system having a bit of a failure. Almost had him go back to kind of lock it down against this man here who we're riding with, Scott McLaughlin, but looks like that will not be the case here, at least for race 1. Race 2, we shall see. But first oval pole, first hybrid pole for Colton Herta.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hearing that they've not all got away. I believe Linus Lundqvist has stalled. I have just seen pop up on my phone, so we'll keep an eye on that and see if Linus Lundqvist, meant to be starting 12th in this race, gets going in that number 8 car. Of course, the rookie, and all cars are now moving, so all cars are off pit lane, still waiting for the timing screens to jump into action. And well, we saw earlier on that deleting lap times and everything that happened with that one, with Jack Harvey, kind of broke the timing screens.
It did. No, it did.
Just a little bit.
For everybody.
Yeah, which was annoying. But just
and again,
having
we're still
a look at the circuit. Of course, it's been paved. They had a practice session yesterday that was trying to work the high line in, Jackson, and it's working for now, hopefully, but this is the proper test.
I think it 100% is the proper test, and I think the big question here is what kind of effects this is going to have on tire degradation. You ask any driver over the past 5 years, this has been one of, if not the only track where pretty much the only concern is tire degradation. It's going to actually go before the fuel, which happens almost nowhere else. But Pato O'Ward, alongside a couple other drivers, have listed concerns stating that that could be different now with the repave. And when you combine that with the ability that this new kind of paved section of it, it feels like we might have sort of a lapped car fest on our hands here, JT.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw earlier on the issues with the Indy NXT race. I believe that was shortened quite a bit due to all of the tyre issues with tyre degradation as well. But we are planning to run the whole 250 laps here. Of course, we have multiple tyres around this 0.894 mile circuit. And I would go to the battle screen, but it is going. We will go to the main screen, even though timing screens haven't come alive yet, which is annoying. But we are side by side, 2 by 2, in towards turn 3 and turn 4. Colton Herta, Scott McLaughlin, row 1, Polo power behind, green flag in the air for this Iowa race 1, in towards turn 1. And Colton Herta has got an incredible jump. Polo McLaughlin still side by side, Jackson, down towards turn 3. Problems, turn 2. And that is Canapino. I believe that's the Hy-Vee car here at the Hy-Vee weekend.
David Malukas.
And that is the 66 of David Malukas as well. Didn't even complete one lap. And that is a big hit for the 78 of Canapino. And caution, lap 1 of 250. We'll get a replay hopefully soon, Jackson, but chaos there.
Yeah, definition of a rough weekend for Agustin Canapino. Issues during practice. Lost it, but managed to keep it out of the wall. Almost collided with Scott Dixon. Was showing strong pace earlier today in qualifying, but unfortunately just not the way you want to see this early as now Romain Grosjean takes a trip to the pit lane, which looks like it could be some technical issues for him as well, as this nightmare could continue for all of JHR. Here's a replay. Malukas seems to lose it all on his own there on the exit of 2, just maybe gets it a little bit in the apron, collects Canapino to the outside wall. There's Grosjean, who does actually become a factor in this as well, seeing where Rob avoids it on the inside. Where is Lundgaard in this scenario? Cat leg almost makes contact with Kiffin Simpson further back there.
Yeah, and, well, NBC having the beautiful option to go straight to an ad break, because we're just trying to get through some tech issues, as the timing screens is throwing everything up in the air, of course. They've been having problems all day. Same with the hybrid system. I think we can agree as well. And Jackson, this is the first time that I believe we've been on together since the hybrid system has come in effect. Thoughts on the hybrid system?
I think it was a breath of fresh air at Mid-Ohio. It was a sigh of relief, you could say, because yes, we had the issues early on in the race with obviously Dixon failing to start because of the supercapacitor issues, a couple guys failing to get off the line. But aside from that, that was the only yellow of the day, and to have a completely scotch-free race with this whole new system where there was so much anxiety at the start of the season, that's a major win for IndyCar. Now, we are going from a fantastic track to test that at Mid-Ohio to Iowa, where you're really not going to get too much usage, I believe. It's only because of the sort of momentum that this track carries. When we go to Gateway, Milwaukee, you're going to see a lot more lifting off of the throttle, but with just how high speed this track is, with how much banking it is, there's not a lot of times where the guys will intentionally be lifting off the gas and decelerate. So there's really not a lot of times we're going to be able to see this recharge, except, I mean, primarily pit exit and pit entry, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was because we have life. Lap 5 of 250, and here's the timing screens. So we will get that all sorted for you, but especially the Hy-Vee car, massive shame for Christian Lundgaard. Of course, this being the Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend, and they will definitely want to get going in race 2 and try and claw it back. Of course, the number 45 started 23rd on the row 12 as well, but recovery still underway, but disappointment for Christian Lundgaard.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm looking at the replay here again. It looked like that was a completely independent spin of that whole incident with the two Juncos cars. And that might have been very similar to what we saw with Marcus Ericsson, right where the kind of old pavement combines with the new pavement, and you kind of see the cars get a little bit upset with those two different levels of grip, those two different surfaces.
Yep, and still under caution, lap 7 of 250. It's Hurton, McLaughlin, Palou, Dixon, Power, O'Ward, Ferrucci, Rossi, Ericsson, and Armstrong. Your top 10 as recovery is still underway down on the exit of turn 2 and the backstretch for race 1 of this Iowa doubleheader. Of course, we were here quite recently for the NASCAR Cup Series race. That was earlier in the year, and now we have the IndyCar doubleheader, and it's not just about the racing. It is, of course, about the concerts as well and everything that happens. But we're just having a look at a slow-mo replay of it, and just gets way below the white line, just hits the white line, does David Malukas, and that spins him round, backs up in towards the 78 of Canapino. 77 gets on 2 wheels, Jackson.
You're not going to like what I'm about to say.
Go on.
That looks very similar to Felix Rosenquist's crash at Indy, lap 1, turn 1, right? Runs that low, just nips the apron, and whole car wants to go around there. And oh my gosh, look at Nolan Siegel there, sliding himself there on the exit of 2. Wow. So he was not the only car. As we see, Lundgaard's already back forward by the time he's even there, as we're finally watching his onboard. With Ed Carpenter on the outside, almost the exact same. Gets it just at the bottom of the apron. Toe maters it towards the back there. Does he keep it out of the wall? He does.
So Lundgaard was a separate incident. Then the whole Malukas, Grosjean and Canapino was a whole incident. And then Siegel was a separate incident as well. So 3 separate incidents all at turn 2 on lap 1.
It's hard to say right now, especially when we don't have the guys in our ear, but is it cold tires? Is it the different racing surfaces? Is it the hybrid system kind of being new to these guys? Is it a combination of all 3? We don't fully know yet. And obviously we saw a little bit of this maybe with the Indy Next race and cars wanted to get loose, what we saw with that Miles Rowe incident earlier on. But it's just too early to tell at this point, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Only lap 11 of 250 here. Still a very long way to go, and only 2 turns completed under green flag. Not even 1 full lap. We've been under caution for 10.5 laps now as they continue to circulate. Keep an eye on Joseph Newgarden, of course, down in 14th. He started down in the 22nd place, so already with all of that chaos there at the start, he has got up to 14th, but he is incredible around this circuit, is Joseph Newgarden.
100% going to be awesome to see the king of the corn potentially work his way up to the front of the field after it seemed like he had his own issues with the hybrid system, not necessarily like what we saw earlier, but with failure to deploy, but more of finding the balance on the ovals, as we see a replay of Aaron Likens having a tryout for his replacement, we should say.
And then the yellow went straight right out after turn 2. Of course, only 17 to 18 second laps here, Jackson.
Shortest track speed on the, lowest track time of the year, which is a huge comparison to the almost 3-minute lap times we see at Road America sometimes. Yep. So the real question is, if I'm a strategist, am I considering Road America as the most important time on pit road because my position on track isn't as much of a factor? It's all about, making up lap delta with those times? Or at a place here where, on track position is even more of a premium now with this repave, is this the most important where you can get yourself a lap down, maybe even 2 laps down on a trip to pit row?
Yeah, absolutely. And because of how quick of a lap is, pit under green and you go multiple laps down as well. There is the 60 of Rosenqvist, currently in 12th, trying to keep some warmth in his tyres. Going round, I believe that is turn 4. Yes, it is, across the start finish line. Now on board with your race leader and pole sitter, Colton Herter, who got a really good jump going across the line into turn 1 at the start. Keep an eye on him on further restarts.
Like to remind you, though, the guy with the new track record is right behind him, Scott McLaughlin, who was looking stellar going into this qualifying session. Just could not quite hold it and is still looking incredibly fast, at least in traffic, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are still just clearing up the track. Just an AMR safety truck having a look at turn 3, checking for any debris there. And continuing under yellow, no one to go yet. And still circulating quite spaced out round this 7/8 of a mile circuit.
Those at home watching, we're looking at the helmet of Marcus Ericsson right now. Also had issues during practice, had a great turnaround today. Got his car just in the top 10 and has been looking shockingly fast, even sliding again during qualifying, but managing to save it this time. It's been a impressive second half of this season so far, JT.
Yeah, Marcus Ericsson, after, well, not the best in Indianapolis 500. I think we can all agree on that one. And are they going to show it? No, this is practice. What we just mentioned, this is what happened in practice. Just got a loose on entry to 3. That pushed him up high. And, well, they were in highline practice, but Ericsson decided to go third line practice with the extra high line with that one, and then lost it on the extra high line. No grip at all, and went up. The 45 is back in the race. The Hy-Vee car here at the Hy-Vee weekend. Out of pit lane now, Christian Lundgaard.
Just about 19 laps down then, but of course Hy-Vee's going to fly their home colors here with the Black Widow machine ready to go back to green, Josh.
Here we go, single file restart in towards turn 3. It's Herta, McLaughlin, Palou, Dixon, Power, O'Ward, Ferrucci, Rossi, Ericsson and Armstrong through turn 4 now. Green flag back in the air one more time, and it is a very good launch from McLaughlin, who will go around the outside of McLaughlin in towards turn 1. Palou goes down the inside of McLaughlin. He cannot do it. Single file as we go down the backstretch.
Scott McLaughlin, a guy that knows how to drive race cars loose and with these dirty conditions, and how he had it set up for qualifying. I think that's exactly how he's running it here, as we have a couple of exchanges further back. It's O'Ward now leading Rossi, the two McLaren pairs. Then Ericsson and Armstrong remain to wrap up the top 10th. Great early run for Ferrucci. He's in 5th.
Ferrucci making moves, and here is Stingray Rob making moves on Ed Carpenter. Ed Carpenter round the outside of Stingray Rob, side by side across the line we go. This is for 20th, around that in the high teens, as Herta has a 4/10 gap now down the backstretch.
Looked like Catherine Legg was potentially looking for a run around Stingray, as well as we ride on board with the Astemo 2 of Joseph Newgarden. Still in 14th, looking for a way around. Let's see if we can hear from Agustin Canapino here.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, unfortunately, David did a spin and I can't avoid it, so incredible.
Heartbreak for Agustin Canapino, but we're certainly glad to see that he's okay.
We'll get a second.
Good to hear that from Agustin Canapino. Biggest movers, Newgarden up 8, no surprise there, and Stingray Rob and Ed Carpenter, who were just battling it out, up 6, lap 24 of 250. And Herta about to go across the line now, and that is 10% of this race already completed. One caution down, lap 25 of 250. On board with Scott Dixon out of turn 2.
Still 100% a guy in the fight for this championship, in 4th right now, 258 points. Matter of fact, Josh, all 4 of your top 4 guys in this championships are in the top 10 here.
Yep, and that top 10, I believe, staying the same since the last restart. Yes, it is in towards turn 3. Look at that sun, as it is an into the night race. It's 8 p.m. Eastern over there, 8:19 p.m. Eastern to be precise. And look at that, out of turn 2, right into the sun, and then as you turn right into towards turn 3, that is a direct sunlight right in towards your eyes, so that may cause some issues for some drivers, Jackson.
Not sure if you remember when when Santino Ferrucci had the tinted halo glass, almost like it was a limousine, but asked the series if he could do it due to his light sensitive eyes. They allowed him to do it. This seems like a scenario where that might not hurt, but again, this thing is gonna kind of darken up real fast. Let's hear from David Malukas really quick.
It was a rookie mistake. I mean, just had to check up at the start and didn't anticipate it well, and ended up driving on the apron and lost the car. So it's really done by me. So big sorry to Canapino. I mean, I just collected him, nothing he could do there, and feel really bad for the team. I mean, we had a really good start, and even coming into this qualifying, we were really, really quick and going into the race. So that's big on me. I mean, thankfully, though, we can say that there's a race 2 coming up. We can try again tomorrow and hopefully make up for it. But yeah, I feel really, really bad. That was just dumb. That was really dumb.
And they will try again tomorrow. That's David Malukas.
So the first big negative outcome here for David Malukas in his new tenure with Meyer Shank Racing. Obviously, a guy we've known to have short oval results in his short IndyCar career. And has really, really proven a lot, I think, so far in pink, Josh. But just the first time we've really seen a major choke up for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see if there's any more. Hopefully not for David Malukas, because it has been definitely a hard year with everything which happened. And there is your 2 cars officially out, Malukas and Canapino, and then all the other cars that are multiple laps down. I have been cooking, Jackson, and you
have been, and I believe you can add another car to that list. Jack Harvey just went into the pit lanes, and I believe that will be day done for him as well. Not mechanical. Mans is just hurting.
Yeah, and that is, of course, we have got to keep an eye on, and they were talking about it in between the qualifying and the race, Jackson, about Connor Daly hopefully replacing him, but due to the regulations he has to have a special session, and due to the gap with the Indy NXT race, the qualifying, and then this IndyCar race, there was just no time to have that, and the concert as well.
Yeah, the real issue was we had a concert on track, and it's kind of hard to run in IndyCar when that's happening. As we see Jack Harvey hopping out of the 18 Invest machine right now. But yeah, unfortunately, part of the IndyCar rules, we'll probably see him in that car tomorrow. But I mean, to have a guy that's sat on pole for one of these races, Josh, and a guy who's led laps at Indy to still need special sessions in order to go and compete. I get it with the hybrid system, but still just doesn't make all the sense here as we see Scotty Mack slowly reeling in Colton Herta.
Yep, here we go. What is the gap across the line? It's 0.366, exactly a tenth down on what it was, because it was 0.466 that last time round. In towards turn 3 we go, in towards turn 4 now, and out across the line to complete another lap. Herta, McLaughlin, Palou, Dixon, Frucci, Power, O'Ward, Rossi, Ericsson, Armstrong. Here is a replay of the original start, Jackson.
Are we going to see some New Garden magic? You bet we are running that high line. You got to be an absolute courageous son of a gun to be able to make that work. And he's running just the outside of that paved area. Makes it 3 wide there with Rosenquist and VK, and backs out of it, thinks smarter of it, and does a great jump on that first start, Josh.
That was an incredible start from New Garden. And, well, this is Joseph Newgarden at Iowa. We expect this every single time we come here, and he is an incredible driver around here.
So since since Joseph has signed with Team Penske, he has won 14 oval races. And when you compare that to the rest of the IndyCar fields combined, it is the exact same.
We've got a penalty.
Say that a little bit better. Oh, go.
And it's for Santino Frucci in 5th. He was out of line at the restart, Jackson. So Alex Palou, that's because Tom Gaymore just said Alex Palou. Santino Frucci has just had to come down into pit lane to serve that penalty. He will have to do that momentarily, and I have been cooking, and there is your upgraded, kind of upgraded timing screen. For everyone watching along, and Frucci drops down as he comes into pit road to serve that drive-through penalty. So he drops down, and everyone goes up 1. That means Linus Lundqvist in the number 8 car is up into 10th. Jack Harvey, of course, officially out, and I think we can call it now. Connor Daly will be in that car tomorrow.
It's pretty much all but a done deal at this rate. So for those of you curious how much a pit stop can hurt you, Ferrucci just went from 5th to 22nd, still on the lead lap, but barely. And that was without any actual service, just in and out of the box.
Yep, and Herta and McLaughlin, the gap is staying consistent. Here, round turn 4 we go now. Frucci went 1 lap down with that penalty, by the way, stop and go penalty. And the leaders out of turn 2 now.
And I believe we are going to start to see a little bit more lap traffic play into this here as his teammate Kyle Kirkwood is coming into view.
Here we go. And lap traffic is always a major factor here at Iowa. It's always a major factor at any short oval. It may look big on the track map, but it is only 0.894 miles. And
believe the
across the
shortest track
line
we
now.
go to now.
Yes, I believe it is. But we are about to complete lap 50. Well, about to start lap 50. Through turn 2 we go. Your top 5, Herta, McLaughlin, Polo, Dixon, and Will Power. Through turn 3 we go. Through turn 4. And to start lap 50, we are now 20% through this race.
On the nose of Pietro Fittipaldi here in 15th, looking down the nose of Nolan Siegel, still on that lead lap, but lap traffic is coming, and just as we were saying here, we're going to get the replay of Ferrucci,
Definitely out of line.
Way out of line for the restart. Almost tried using a slingshot there to get a run on O'Ward, and just might have made it stick around the outside. Yeah, I did. Here's the view from Alexander Rossi as, yeah, just totally not necessarily getting on the gas too soon, but just using that momentum to really get having a place to go on the gas, right?
Yeah, I know we all have the different rules of alternate start finish line, Santino, but not here.
Not like that. No guy
not
code
like
restart
that.
zone to worry about here.
Let's go here from Jack Harvey.
Weekend long. The plan has changed a couple times today, but today you're retired. What is the plan for tomorrow?
Plan for tomorrow. In truth, pretty much made the decision that we were hoping that Connor was going to be able to drive, and then have a lot of respect for INDYCAR, but they didn't clear him to drive today without doing any practice sessions or qualifying or anything like that. So, I mean, that forced our hand a little bit. Basically meant that we had to start the race to try and get some leader circle points, and I mean, I would say I'm a very lucky person to get to do this for a job, but it's agony in a car. Like, can't really describe that pain. So we actually probably did more laps than what I thought we might. The competitive person everybody is who does this, so it kind of splits your spirit to the core, knowing that you can't do it. But everybody on the INDYCAR medical side have been fantastic. It was their recommendation not to do it. I have a lot of respect for Dale and everybody at Dale Coyne Racing, so I still wanted to do my part, and that today really was just start the race. Under safety car, under pushing laps, it hurts. And I hope people have enough respect for me that when I say it hurts, it isn't just like, oh, it's a little bit of pain. Like, I've tried pushing through this 2 weekends now, just can't.
We're wishing you the best, a speedy recovery, Jack Harvey.
Jack Harvey, definitely in a lot of pain, and very good to see that he even started this race, let alone complete multiple laps in it, Jackson, as we pick up with the Cirrus XM machine out of turn 2.
Nowhere race day at Mid-Ohio, neck and shoulder pain, seemed to be muscle tenseness, was unable to fully know the source, but muscled through it. Admitted he was struggling on socials right after that and has been kind of battling, finding a solution all week. He's gone to see sports physical therapists. He's had it cupped like a Olympic athlete, like a swimmer, and just has not been able to battle through it. I mean, the guy qualified 3 times today, Josh. So for him to even muscle through the pain and soreness today to get this car, on the grid is, I know it does not seem like it, but a Herculean task for Jack Harvey.
Yeah, absolutely. And only needed to qualify once, but had to qualify 3 times. As you said, Christian Lundgaard back out on track, out of pit road, and that is so so out of line for Santino Ferrucci, and there's the green light there. But he was way out of line before the green. And
well out of the
slow-mo,
gearbox of Pato, yeah.
You can be out of line when the green flag is dropped without fractions of a second, definitely, but there was time. They had to slow it down to see the difference. But if it's a thousandth of a second out, then that will be a no-no, as it's still the same out in front. Herta, McLaughlin, Palou, Dixon and Power. Newgarden now up to 13th. He is trying to catch the 21 of Venus VK. And then Rosenqvist just in front of that. Lundqvist, Rosenqvist, still that battle. And then Power and O'Ward are 3/10 separated as well. A little battle going for third down to 6th.
Possible McLaughlin might be saving something here because he's kept that gap to Herta at just about 0.6 seconds and change here for the entire race so far. So I think it really is waiting for the right time to pounce. And of course, just as I say that gap goes up to just almost a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Through turn 3 we go now. Into the sun, then out of the sun. And a couple of people tripping the pit lane timing beam. And that is a slow Ed Carpenter.
Is that an in-lap, or that's way too slow to be an in-lap? Might have brushed the wall there.
Yeah. That was slow. And he's rolling down into pit road. He's made it into pit road. Has the 20 of Ed Carpenter. We'll see if we can get an update for him. And see
this
what
could
happens.
be so placebo, but it looks like his front wing is slightly nicked there. Let's see.
High in turn 4. Did he hit the wall? No.
Doesn't quite look like it. So it might be a scheduled stop and was scrubbing the fronts maybe a bit too much. We'll see.
Could it possibly be debris on the tyres?
It might be marbling. Again, we've had a pretty long yellow stint here, but I don't think long enough for that to be a factor.
Yeah. Carpenter on the radio. Yeah, I got wide there in dirty air and bleeped the tyres.
Did get a little bit of aero wash there from Kif Simpson, so is a possibility.
Lap 72 of 250. And for the first time today, let's go down and hear from Tom Gamer.
Penske first and second with Alex Palou there. You can just see the red and the blue car flashing through in third place. Scott Dixon in fourth. Well done to everyone staying up in the UK, getting in touch on X. You can message in at Tom Gaymore, Gaymor. Use the Sky Sports Indy or Sky INDYCAR hashtag. FMS store, Formula Model store, says is the extra weight and height of the hybrid engines in INDYCAR affecting the cars in the pendulum effect, causing the unbalance and spin at Iowa. It's not really too much of an issue at the moment. It's more the way the cars rotate using that new asphalt that they have down there. So the unweighted wheels grip up there, and it's causing the cars to have a bit of an imbalance, and that's been the biggest issue. Not too much in the way of complaints extra weight at the moment. And I think that's just because they've got so much grip. The tyres are really good here. There's very little deg. The track's smooth now, and once you get on this asphalt and down to the white line, the car feels really balanced. It's just trying to get into the corner. You can just see there, the sealant is what's causing the issue. As the car, you got 3 different tyres on different surfaces, and that's causing an issue. Owen Hawes is celebrating his birthday. Abby's watching as well. Lead since 1966. Nikki, INDYCAR Ninja, is watching. Well, we got plenty of laps still to go.
And we are back with 171 laps to go here on JB Motorsports, lap 80 of 250, and I am seeing yellow on my screens, and the 15 of Graham Rahal is in trouble. Started this race with a 9-place grid penalty, and he has come down into pit road. Don't see anything. Look at his front right tyre,
right.
Jackson.
Went down to the apron early. If it almost looks like he brushed it or made some kind of contact with it. I'm not sure if it was suspension or not. But that might be an early call. Let's see the replay here. Almost exactly where Ed had that issue earlier on, and that almost looks like a tire failure on its own or some kind of mechanical failure on its own there. Hard to actually tell what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely, but massive vibration on the front right.
Gets down to the apron before turn 1 even.
Yeah, gets it down on his own. I'm definitely not distracted, Jackson. Definitely not. I'm definitely not cooking some more stuff. I want to say that's
almost a loose lug nut. Was he just out of the pit lanes there and that was a loose...
It looks like it, doesn't it? But he's back out on track.
Outside looks okay. Graham's not entirely sure what's going on himself. Ed Carpenter also to pit row. He is back out since then. Yeah, hard to totally say what's happened here, but it looks like we're going to potentially see some yellow flag pit stops here.
Yep, getting ready, possibly, for yellow flag pit stops. We are on lap 83 of 250, so strategy lines up. Some strategies line up with that. Pace car still out as they go across to finish. Lap 83 start. Lap 84, track sweepers out. AMR safety team just checking for any debris out on track through turn 1 and then up through turn 2. Cars keeping to the low side as they sweep the high line, and we go towards pit road. Will anyone
here we go
take? And my timing screen lights up red, and here comes everyone down pit road. We'll get ready to go down pit road momentarily. Here we go.
This is going to be a melee. Watch the lockup there for Dixon on the inside.
All coming down pit lane. Joseph Newgard is going to bring the two to the attention of his crew. He has been battling a vibration that's been getting worse, but those sticker blacks are going on. A small wing adjustment to Dylan Welch.
John Dixon happy with his car. Pits for first. Clear in and clear out. Nobody around him on pit road. 4 tires and fuel, Kevin. Colton Herta said the tire wear is really picking up. He thinks it'll get better as the night goes on. He wants a tire pressure adjustment. Let's watch the race on pit road. And it's going to be Scott McLaughlin. Maybe by a foot on the outside. Almost even between McLaughlin and Herta as they hit the exits. How about that?
That was close, Jackson. Palou problem.
Alex Palou struggled to get that car refired. They managed to get the outboard starter all the way back in that car, and that thing jumped away when it was still technically attached to it. That could be a penalty going towards the number 10 crew, but it looks like for the time being, on a drag race outside of the pits, it was just hurt up by a hair there, which fantastic execution for him as he had to tiptoe around the Arrow McLaren crew in front of him.
Yeah, and that jumped and back out on track. I believe it's Herta ahead of McLaughlin. We'll see when the cameras confirm that as we continue. We'll wait, of course, for the timing screen to update. And, well, the timing screen has disappeared, which suggests that there's issues with it. Here it is. McLaughlin ahead of Colton Herta.
By a nose. Not even by that, by a half a front wing. So those positions have since then been traded. Scotty Mack going to lead his first laps of the night here at Iowa. All brought out by this man right here, Graham Rahal for Reasons we're still not quite sure of, Josh.
Yep. And there it is, the classification at the last time round. McLaughlin, Herta, Dixon, O'Ward, Rossi, Power, Ericsson, Armstrong, VK, and Newgarden up into the top 10.
Slow stops for the two Vists, Felix and Linus, both now 11th and 12th. That'll put VK, Armstrong, Ericsson, and company up into the top 10.
Dixon continuing to circulate, and just everyone looking as we go across the line to complete another lap. Second caution of the day, lap 89 of 250 here at Iowa for the Hy-Vee INDYCAR race weekend. Race 1 of 2. Your next race coming up at 5 p.m. British summertime, and then 12 p.m. Eastern, which, yes, I am planning to be around in that broadcast from a car. Now, I cannot promise that signal will be good. I cannot promise that I will be there the whole time. But if anything goes wrong, you cannot blame me. Because I'm not the main broadcaster for that.
That's okay. I'm bringing friends.
If anything goes wrong today,
if anything happens
me.
tomorrow, get mad at me. Even though I have literally no control over anything technologically, get mad at me. So you're going to be running OBS from the car tomorrow then?
No.
Okay.
Omi is streaming, but I'm just going to be in the background because I can.
Okay, gotcha.
And then guess who's on the NASCAR race from the car and then meant to... Oh, look at that. Scott McLaughlin just absolutely flying straight onto pit speed way before Herta. And that is what happens when you have more speed on pit road.
Well, that's really just because of Pato O'Ward in front there. And again, how much of a kind of weird launch angle Colton had to do to get around that. McLaughlin almost had a straight shot out of his own box, but again, already was up to speed by the time Colton was just off the jacks. So you can see at the end of that replay, guys scrambling to get Alex Palou going. He's refired, albeit way back now in 19th, right behind Catherine Legg and Kyle Kirkwood.
Yep, and Palou pulling alongside Catherine Legg, and with the elf car. Yes, it is July, but we still have an elf car, of course. The makeup brand, not the Christmas elf. Here's a look at Mid-Ohio with what happened last time out with Palou. Issues 2 weekends in a row for Alex Palou. Good to see Scott Dixon still on the track. Not 40 laps down, but we still got time. I have now jinxed it, so you can now blame me if anything happens to Scott Dixon. Hybrid related. Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herta, Scott Dixon, 2 Scotts in the top 3. It is a Colton Herta sandwich filling with Scotts on the outside. That's going to be clipped.
Yes, sir. 2 Kiwis named Scott.
Yep, and it won't be clipped because I'm the main clip person and no one is awake to clip it. And I'm not going to clip myself. Anyway, we're coming to the restart. Points as they run. 340 Palou, 31 points down is Power. Green flag getting prepped on the flag stand. Lap 93 about to start. Lap 94 of 250 here in Newton, Iowa. It's McLaughlin, Herta, Dixon, O'Ward, Rossi, Power, Jackson. Take it away.
They're going to try and stay in line here. Clean for the restart. O'Ward looking for something quick. Dixon quick on the move, trying to make something 3 wide. Watch Colton Herta to the inside of turn number 1 as they almost bang fenders going out to turn number 2. They'll still remain side by side going down the backstretch. Herta hanging on for dear life on the inside. McLaughlin will hold on to the lead at the end of this first lap of the restart, Jay.
Here we go, down in towards turn 1. McLaughlin gets the whole shot and has a couple car lengths of a gap. Then it's Dixon, 5 tenths back from Herta, but a 2 tenths gap. And there, I believe, was Linus Lundqvist getting involved. So was Kiffin Simpson. Lapped traffic. And I've just saw Will Power go into pit lane. We'll have to see if that is correct. But here is the number 10 down the inside.
On the move already, Palou, as I believe that was Santino Ferrucci. No, excuse me, Pietro Fittipaldi. He got around as he's already getting to work to try and extend this championship lead as much as possible. It's Kyle Kirkwood next on the menu. Will Power works his way into pit lane. Excuse me.
Rahal has a penalty. No worries, Jackson. I'm seeing if Power is get a penalty as well. I'm guessing it's a penalty because everyone pitted on the last time. And here is where we check the Twitter. And
Kirkwood
yes,
down.
Penalty for Rahal and Power confirmed. Biggest movers, plus 12 for Newgarden, plus 11 for Robin Simpson. Jackson.
Kiffin Simpson. But if Newgarden was a show, you might get another one here with Alex Palou. It's Stingray, Rob, and the new guy at McLaren, Nolan Siegel, next at the menu. He's staring down the gearbox of both of them as Siegel's trying to hold off Stingray. But further back, Kirkwood is slowly trying to reel this whole freight train back in.
Biggest movers since the restart there, I believe, plus 5 for Palou. And just to clarify, drive-through penalty for Rahal for service in a closed pit. That is because of the caution he caused that last
Here
caution.
comes Palou to the inside of Stingray. Great defense there as it's Stingray Rob who shuts the door on him and gives him the arrow wash. Palou will run wide to the outside of turn 2 as they continue on here. Palou remains in 14th for the time being, but it's far from over.
Really good defence for the 41, and it was a drive-through penalty for Will Power. Joseph Newgarden continuing in 10th, slowly making his way up. If he keeps this progress on and this pace, he will be up there in no time. Keep an eye on him. We've completed lap 100. We're now on to lap 102 here in Iowa. The lights have come on. The sun is setting. We are going into the night here in Iowa for the first race of 2 in this Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend doubleheader. And look at the rear suspension. Look at how much it's bouncing, how hard it's working in towards turn 2, Jackson.
Day's turning to night, and Joseph Newgarden was the hunter, but when the sun's coming down, he might be turning into the hunted here as Felix Rosenquist and Nolan Siegel are trying to close that gap to the number 2 Astemo machine. It's been just about half a second between these two for the past couple of laps, but Rosenquist has been showing pace here, and he's been taking Siegel with him.
Top 19 are on the lead lap, then Power is the first car down, then it's Rahal 2 laps down, then Lundgaard, 60 laps down, but he had issues down in turn 2 on that lap 1 caution. Of course, we have to remember on board with Felix Rosenquist, who is chasing Joseph Newgarden across the line to complete another lap.
Consistent running right now. We've been seeing a little bit more elbows out now with the first kind of vibe setting laps under everybody's belt, and now is the time to move, especially now with the track cooling down with the ambient and the track temperature getting down. Grip should hopefully be coming back to these cars.
I've just seen your message. Yes. Rosenquist in towards the backstretch and in towards turn 3. McLaughlin leads by a second of Herter as they complete another lap. Then it's Dixon in 3rd, O'Ward in 4th, then Rossi in 5th as well. Ericsson in 6th after his comeback after the practice incident. And it's VK. Good place for VK. He always does well on ovals. When he's there, he is there. Then it's Lundqvist, Armstrong, Newgarden, top 10. A second gap between Armstrong and Newgarden. That's the battle for 9th. Lap 109, top 5. Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herter, Scott Dixon, Patrick Ward, and Alexander Rossi.
In the box seat at the moment, 8th in the championship. Had that win at Alabama at Barber earlier on in the season. 2nd place, of course, in the well, the dash for the cash at Thermal, but those are, well, that's the only win for Scott McLaughlin so far. He had a rostrum at Road America and last time out, so he's tracking in the right direction, and this would be a huge result for Team Penske and Scott McLaughlin, especially as Joseph Newgarden just has not been at the races. That's staggering, really, if you think just how successful Joseph Newgarden has been around this Iowa track. He's won 3 of the last 4 races. Since he came to Penske, he's won 14 races on the oval since 2017. The rest of the field combined have won 14. Yes, he's made 12 spots since the start, but he's dropping back into the clutches at the Meyer Shank here of Felix Rosenqvist, and that is the battle for 10th place, and really not being able to do too much about Marcus Armstrong, the young Kiwi in the Chip Ganassi machine, the green machine. There you see him in 9th place. He was sensational in qualifying for this first race and then whacked the wall coming out of turn 2, starting his 2nd lap, meaning he'll start way down tomorrow, but he'd dearly like to get ahead of his teammate, Marcus Armstrong, that is. Linus Lundqvist, the rookie, ahead of him in 8th place, as Scott McLaughlin still leads the gap about a second now over Colton Herta. Scott Dixon there in 3rd. Penske Chevrolet ahead of the 2 Hondas of the Andretti and Chip Ganassi camps, with Pato O'Ward and Alexander Rossi, the 2 Papaya cars, there in 4th and 5th. 117 laps completed, settling into this 2nd stint now.
Tom Gaymore fills us in on what's going on so far. Championship picture could change big time right now. Your 1st and 2nd, Palou and Power, were incredibly strong at the opening of this race. Troubles in the pit lanes and a penalty have sent those 2 respectfully back. Meanwhile, the rest of the guys in the top 5, O'Ward and Dixon in 3rd and 4th respectively, could get some healthy points here. But up at the spear tip here, it's McLaughlin ahead of Colton Herta. It's Jackson Lambros and Josh Bursch with you. Josh, we're just about halfway through this thing.
Absolutely. Well, I hope I'm not Josh Burks, Jackson.
Oh my God, I'm tired. We're both tired.
We are both tired. 1:54 here in the UK, and well, in 4 hours time, I'll be on the road. Instead of hit the road track, it'll be hit the road Josh to go see the other Josh at Donington Park for the first time. Looking at Catherine Legg in the Dale Coyne racing car, and hasn't raced here in over a decade, we have to remember. Currently running 17th on the lead lap, and McLaughlin and Herta still a reasonable gap at the front.
Probably her first IndyCar start outside of the 500 for, I want to say, well over a decade here, if I'm trying to find the data. Obviously, a well-known ace in the IMSA Sports Car Championship, has spent many times in competing full-time in GTD, had to step away from that with the promise Dale Coyne might have brought, but is a well-known affiliate of Mike Shank. Drove a couple of seasons with him in the early days of the NSX GT3. Honestly, I think after the absolute bloodshed Honda as a whole had at the Indy 500, I think just seeing the checkered flag would be enough for Cat Legg and Elf.
Yeah, absolutely. She is on the way to do that. We pick up Scott McLaughlin, 9/10 the gap, and Scott McLaughlin crosses the line to start lap 125 of 250. We're halfway there in the first race of 2, as we pick up Scott Dixon going in towards turn 2 to start the second half of this race.
Still definitely a factor, not just in this race, but in the championship as a whole. Had a fantastic drive in both Detroit and Long Beach, as Mike Hull, the man behind the strats here, is calling this race once again to perfection for the legendary Kiwi, and a man who's slowly trying to chip his way towards beating the all-time win record of the great AJ Foyt, and this would just make him one win closer.
Yep, and me and Christopher DeHard can mind read each other, Jackson, because 46 seconds ago he posted, "Someone queue up the Bon Jovi." Points as they run, 345 Polo, and me doing the special thing if my TV wants to stop lagging. There we go. Dixon's 52 points back. Herter is joint. I cannot think because my TV's lagging, Jackson.
You're doing great, lad. No, you're doing your best.
My TV has crashed. There we go. Lap 130 of 250. We pick it back up live. And I thought they were going to break because they did the graphic, but they've not. 1 second officially the gap between McLaughlin and Herter. Let's not rewind again.
Yeah.
I mean, my TV has been on for like 5 hours straight because I left it on, like, I left everything as it was after qualifying. Just so I could come in and just start it all.
I wanted to bug you before then because I saw you were in here, but I felt like you were too locked in.
I wasn't here.
You just weren't here? Okay.
I joined the Discord, I set up the camera, then I went into the other room, and we've got a drive-through penalty for Linus Lundqvist, who's in 8th position, the number 8 car, and he comes down pit road, and it is the exact same reason that Santino Ferrucci got his penalty for.
Out of line during restart.
Yes.
For whatever reason, has seemed to be the norm, and I get it's easy to hold the line here. Let's see the replay. That's a little bit more than we saw earlier with Santino, Josh.
Yep, and there's the contact that we saw, a little bit of a replay of Dixon and Herter, but if that isn't out of line at the restart, I don't know what is.
Oh my gosh, was too wide with, believe that was Felix Rosenquist again there at the restart.
The restart is still under review. That's from race control, so they've still not decided.
I believe that is because there were some other individuals who were out of line, and obviously we saw that brief moment of contact. I believe that was Herta and Dixon, not McLaughlin and Dixon.
Yeah. Grosjean's back out in this race, 133 laps down. He was officially done as out, but he is back out. Top 5, lap 136, McLaughlin, Herta, Dixon, O'Ward, Rossi, as we
really
are
quick
on board.
Before we send it to Tom. It's been a couple of wins already for Scott McLaughlin, none at an oval. Could this be the time we see something change?
Yeah, absolutely. 1.2 seconds the gap. Down in towards turn 3 we go, continuing round this Iowa circuit. Let's go down to Tom Gaymore.
Issues with running a full stint. This track used to be really bumpy. The deck used to be huge. There was no way that you could run a fuel tank in terms of a full run. And you were
coming back on, Catherine Legg has got a penalty. Catherine Legg has got a penalty for being out of line on the restart.
Fuel limited, and we will need to pit again, and that will take us through to the checkered flag. One or two good questions coming in on X. I need to find, it was Ella Hancock asking about the stickers. What do we mean when we say stickers? Well, it's new tyres. That's what the Americans call new tyres. So when you hear the commentators or the teams talk about boxing for stickers, that is new tyres on the car. It's not a new livery. As we see Catherine Legg just trundling through pit lane there. That looked like a penalty being served. the Elf Cosmetics car. Catherine Legg last raced here in 2012. And she's back again in INDYCAR. I think we'll see her back out in more of the ovals as the year ticks down. Of course, this now signalling the start of a real run when it comes to the ovals for the rest of the season. We will go to Gateway, we've got Milwaukee, 1 and 2, another double header, and of course Nashville, the super speedway, to close the season off at the end of the year. Hello as well to Lynn, who's woken up and has got a cuppa. Well, we'd like a cuppa here as well, as the drivers flash through the sunsets here in Iowa. The action hotting up. It's Scotty Mack who continues to lead. Colton Herta hold up in second place.
Lap 144 of 250, about to start lap 145 as we bring Jackson back in, and it's 0.999 seconds the gap at the lead. No emergency services needed, as it's around 5/10 between Herta and Dixon as we complete another lap. That's how quick the laps are around here. 18 seconds round that, of course.
So we know that about 60 laps and change is where we are at here. So we should be seeing cars potentially coming to pit row again here shortly, as these guys are. 7 car is your longest man out right now at 55 laps, but pretty much for everyone else 53. 121 is considered to be about your window mark here,
and
or excuse me, 151.
The IndyCar app is as slow as the race control giving out penalties. They have literally
100%.
just sent a notification saying that there's been a big accident on lap 1. We are now on lap 148. Rant over. Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herta, Scott Dixon, Patrick Ward, and Alexander Rossi. Your top 5. Ericsson still in 6th. VK Armstrong still 6th, 7th, and 8th respectively. Newgarden has got past Felix Rosenqvist for 9th. That was earlier on. Keeping an eye on Herta. And there is a move. That is Palou. And that is, I believe, the 77, who is like 100 and odd, however many laps down.
Romain Grosjean trying to become a point scorer at best here in this. Update on Palou running in 12th, has managed to work his way around Stingray Rob. Siegel's next, but he's been struggling to get himself around that rookie in the 6 Aero McLaren. A car that, well, about 2 years ago on this weekend, we were thinking a car he could have filled.
Yep, absolutely. VK in 7th, doing very well, just behind Marcus Ericsson, and there could be a battle starting here. Got a couple of cars close together, but we've got a couple of cars with a big gap. McLaughlin is continuing to extend that lead out front. Let's go down to through the field.
How to make progress and pass a car the way things are strung out right now. So this is where you get a lot of feedback. And if you're Colton Herta, you can only hang on. You have to stay out.
Yeah, if you're
Tom
just
Gamer
joining us, Romain Grosjean, Agustin Canapino taken out the Juncos Hollinger cars by David Malukas in that first lap. Tetaker, the spin, as Malukas checked up, touched the apron, 2 wheels below the white line. That rotated him around. Shades of Tom Blomqvist at the first corner of the Indy 500. The first oval we visited this 2024 season. Look at Scotty Mack starting to check out as Colton Herta suffers with the balance, with the vibration. He's dropping back into the clutches of Scott Dixon. There you can see the Chip Ganassi machine with Pato O'Ward right there as well. And that's ominous for the Andretti Autosport machine, because Scotty Mack building that gap. If it stays green, that's going to help him when the cars come back to pit road. And we're probably about 8 laps away from the pit stops. It looks like it could be a green flag pit stop, and that is pressure for the teams and the drivers as well, because any small mistake and you just tumble down the order. We saw that from Alex Palou last time around, albeit under yellows. Palou now recovering up to 12th overall. And the championship leader was looking very, very strong. He's still got work to do. He's got the young rookie teenager Nolan Siegel ahead of him in 11th place. In the third of the Arrow McLaren machines, his two teammates Pato O'Ward and Alexander Rossi up in 4th and 5th place. So ticking over to 160 laps completed. Who's going to win here at Iowa? We've still not seen the two side-by-side lines that we're accustomed to seeing over the last few years. Cars hold up in dirty air at the moment, but as the tyres start to drop off, will the likes of Scott Dixon be able to get that second high line working to find a way past Colton Herta?
90 laps to go, and as we just heard from Tom, still very much a factor here. And fuel saving still very much a factor. Lap traffic could be a factor here, but maybe not quite yet, as McLaughlin still has clean air. But after these sets of pits in the next couple of laps, that could all change, Josh Turner.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sun continuing to set round the Iowa Speedway. The grandstand's kind of filled, but it is very busy down in the infield, and concerts all weekend through. And McLaughlin and Herta now up to 3.2 seconds the gap. Dixon continuing to chase Herta.
McLaughlin with a 3-second gap now to Herta. Herta's been kind of thrown to the wolves at this point, as everyone wants to maybe bring a fight to the lead. It's Dixon, O'Ward, and Rossi all in the running behind that. Ericsson and VK not too far behind.
Everyone taking over the next lap is going on to their 80th lap since pit. So they are definitely going to have to keep thinking of green flag pit stops if there is no cautions momentarily. Lap 166 of 250, 84 to go, and Dixon down towards turn 3 into the setting sun over Iowa, and the gap continuing to increase out at front, 3.5 seconds.
Okay, so I just realized this, but we've had a noted history of online incidents with a couple of individuals in the IndyCar paddock.
Yeah.
In lap 1, we just watched one David Malukas grab the apron and go butt end into Agustin Canapino.
Has it started again?
I've been too scared to check, but I think at this point, with this many incidents this is going to be the ultimate test of what we will see from the Argentinian fan base, and how Juncos Racing, Agustin Canapino, and the rest of IndyCar as a whole on this space will react and marshal that, which we at JB Motorsports, of course, do not condone in any way, and do everything in our power to control and keep out of proportions.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's not the best thing, is it, in the IndyCar paddock? We don't. We incredibly don't want. We really don't want it, and let's hope nothing comes out of it after what has happened today. Lap 171 of 250. The gap still 3.5 seconds out front. Keeping an eye on Patrick Ward, who's trying to catch up to Scott Dixon in third. Continuing round the backstretch, and a move maybe possibly being set up for just in front of O'Ward, with Dixon and Herter for second place. And we are continuing round. We have a look from the battle camera of the gap between O'Ward and Dixon, and then the gap between Dixon and Herter. This is a battle in raging for second place. Top 17 now on the lead lap. Herter's pitting. Colton Herter coming down into pit road. We'll see if there is a pit road report as Herter drops down for a green flag. Pit stops.
Should be pretty fine on fuel now. Everyone is staying out a little longer than they thought they could. They made the Firestones last, so they should have enough Shell fuel to be able to turn up the wick a little bit and run a little harder in this last stint. We know Colton Herta has been begging for a stop, so he got enough laps in. So we're down to 75 to go. Should be no problem. Let's watch and see, and maybe the undercut. Pitting
Spinner on the front stretch. Alex Palou. Alex Palou into the wall. The championship leader is around, and that is drama for the number 10. Look at the rear right.
How is that for championship implications? Your leader now completely out of the race, spun back and forward on the front straightaway here. Interesting to see what actually caused that to happen, but almost a chunk taken out of that back left wheel. As safety crew is quick to respond here, Palou will climb out under his own power.
So, Palou out. They'll have to do a little bit of work to get that fixed for later on in the day, tomorrow, for you guys over there in the States. But that is not the best. But good to see Alex Palou out. Jackson, take us through the replay.
Looks like almost just got lost entirely on his own there. Still hard to say what happened specifically. Toe maters it across the start-finish line and just boofs the back right into the wall there. Pretty much day done. How's this for a shot from the folks at IMS Productions? Gets us a great shot of that. Just almost seems like a tank slapper of some... It's so hard for me to kind of tell what happened here. Let's watch from Kyle Kirkwood's perspective as, man, really try to not to say this too much, Josh, but I'm genuinely stumped on this one.
Yeah, so that is big changes to the championship battle. Alex Palou out of the... and we are having a look. Race control has indicated that the track will be swept, so we could have a possible longer caution after that spin, and they are getting the tow truck out, and they will tow it back behind the wall, and drama for the number 10 team.
So for Colton Herta, would we say that's the best luck for pit timing or the worst?
I mean, he got in just before the caution, which is good, because then no one can follow him in, but then it's only a 17-second lap. So, it's difficult. He was the only car to go into pit road that time by, but now everyone will be able to get yellow flag pit stops.
It's looking like the general vibe here is Colton Herta just got screwed because he had to sacrifice everything for his pit stop and nobody else did at this rate.
Something is... Look at the... There's a little bit of tape or something on the back of McLaughlin's car.
I want to say that's a tear off almost.
Yeah, looks like it.
Hard to say. Probably get a pit assistant in a minute to check and see what that is exactly. Now I really want to see points as they run here, because this could be a huge shakeup.
Coming down pit road this time, Jackson.
This is going to be for all the sandwiches here. Everybody's coming into pit lane. Let's take it to the guys at NBC.
Dixon, you guys nailed it. Mike Cole telling the crew we need a good stop here. Dixon, the screen, has been really happy with his race car. They've picked cars off. Track position has come to them. They should restart second if they can just have a clean stop here, Kevin. Scott McLaughlin, the leader, has been desperately wanting to win on an oval. This is the money stop, the last stop for everyone. Pato Award is further down on pit road, so this is going to be a race-off. Which pit crew is the best? And Scott McLaughlin is going to beat off Pato Award, Scott Dixon, and then Joseph Newgarden comes out fourth in this group. Wow. Look how many Newgarden leapfrogged. This is game.
Incredible from Joseph Newgarden,
who absolutely has a seat at the table now after that. And after what almost seems like the Tour de France grid exiting the pit row here, Joseph Newgarden has got himself well into contention of victory here.
Yep, let's go down to Tom Gaymore for his thoughts.
Detroit early on in the season, but if you look at last year, his worst finish was 8th at St. Petersburg. You have to go all the way back to Road America midway through the 2022 season when you start to look at finishes or races that he didn't finish. So for Alex Palou, he is human. That is really rare. What is amazing out of those last set of pit stops, and I'm smiling, Joseph Newgarden up to 4th place. He's been struggling all weekend through that practice session, didn't get it done in qualifying, been running, yes, he's made up positions on the restart, but he's been running consistently in 10th place. Now he's up to 4th. What can he do? The pit stops have turned the screw. Look at Rossi, he's dropped all the way down to 8th. His teammate Pato Award is up to 2nd. Dixon's still in 3rd. And Armstrong, another big mover, up to 5th. So some big moves there from Joseph Newgarden, from Marcus Armstrong, and from Pato Award. And Valentino Rossi.
Most competitive pit stop going
Alexander
on here
Rossi
for the 17.
That's Mike
Jackson.
Ricardo Juncos watches
on. He's out. He's out.
Probably the smart game to play at this point. Don't risk getting yourself in trouble, especially with the cautions breed cautions sort of mentality at this track. Keep your car clean. We got another race here in less than 12 hours. Just play it safe.
Absolutely. That's what he'll do. Let's go back to Tom.
Second line, that second lane here at Iowa. Lap 185 of 250. The final stops are done. They will be able to go to the end on fuel. They'll have to look after their tyres, but it's going to be the restart. Saw Colton Herta how racy he was in terms of the last restart. Well, it's going to be Pato Award that's going to be pushing Scotty Mack to the green. And a little shout out for Colton Herta through no fault of his own. That caution coming out at just the wrong time, and that has absolutely scuppered his race. He's down in 16th place. And Colton Herta must be thinking, what does he have to do to win a race? His first ever oval pole position, and now he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And pass through has commenced. Power Lundqvist come to Lundgaard, Rahal and Leg. Lap 187 of 250. Keep an eye, Jackson. Nolan Siegel 10th.
100% has kept himself out of trouble here, just like Felix Rosenqvist. Kyle Kirkwood also with a great shot to make something happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's run.
Also, Stingray Rob in 12th.
Very good move.
Maybe a top
from
10.
Rob. Keep an eye on Kevin Simpson in 13th as well. Fittipaldi 14th. Ferrucci 15th. Let's run you through the top 10 real quick. McLaughlin, O'Ward, Dixon, Newgarden up 4 places. Then it's Marcus Armstrong, Venus VK, Marcus Ericsson, Alexander Rossi, Felix Rosenqvist, Nolan Siegel, the only rookie in the top 10. We are about to start lap 189 of 250. They are good on fuel. Will they be good on tyres? McLaughlin goes, restart is go, green flag, back in the air, side by side, further back, very nearly contact between Armstrong and VK, side by side, VK and Armstrong, VK low side, Armstrong high side, they go back single file, and that's Rossi getting involved. Does caution breed caution? No, it doesn't, in towards turn 3.
Great start so far from Ericsson as he's chopping through the green machine of Marcus Armstrong. Renus VK up into 5th. Joseph Newgarden hasn't been able to make any ground as now Ferrucci and Stingray Rob, the 2 Foyt guys going at it. Nolan Siegel fending off Felix Rosenqvist further back.
And Stingray Rob getting a little bit loose on turn 2. Ferrucci down low. Romain Grosjean back out on track, so they might have changed something which required Romain Grosjean to get out of the car. And right down low is Colton Herta getting through on Kevin Simpson up into 14th.
Great restart run for Santino Ferrucci, 15th to 11th. Colton Herta's not wasting any time either. He's already made up 2 spots. Stingray Rob next on the menu for him. McLaughlin with 0.07 of a second on Pato.
Yep, and across the line we go, up towards it now. What is the gap as they go across the line? But let's go down to Alex Palou first.
What happened from inside the cockpit?
I think I just lost 8 out of 4. Yeah, driver mistake. There was no reason why I had to push there. Just trying to record from another driver mistake I had in the pit. So yeah, unacceptable. Very sorry for the tank car. The car was good. Just didn't. It wasn't our day.
Heartbreak for Alex Palou today. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. As it's now up to 8 tenths of a second.
Yep, and 10 car's gonna have to get right back at work here if Palou's gonna want a shot at this thing. They 100% have a backup car. But you look at guys like Shank and some of the smaller teams that have been caught up today, they really don't have anywhere to go mechanically. So it's just work with what you got and kind of see what you can put together before tech inspection tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Let's go from the back to the front here, though. It's it's Pato O'Ward with, as you mentioned, Josh about just under a second now. Both those guys have gotten a big sizable gap here on Scott Dixon and company.
Yep, and the restart was under review. No action as it has been reviewed. Just note Ericsson 6th, Venus VK up into the top 5. Top 5 McLaughlin, O'Ward, Dixon, Newgarden, and Venus VK about to start lap 200. We're on lap 197 of 250 with 53 laps to go in this Hy-Vee Homefront 250 race 1 of 2 of the Hy-Vee INDYCAR race weekend. In towards turn 1 we go. 7 tenths of a second the gap at the lead, and a battle starting to form for 10th, 11th and 12th. Siegel, Ferrucci and Rosenqvist, they are within a second of each other, those 3 cars, Jackson.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with not only the race Siegel is running, but something else to consider here. Lap traffic has really not been as much of a factor as I initially thought, and it's been really similar almost to the short oval running we had in the kind of 15 to 17 aero kit. These guys making so much downforce in this track, having so much grip that they're able to kind of run right on each other's gearbox here and kind of stay so close to one another. So lap traffic not being as big of a factor as we initially thought, but again, still 50 laps to go, and if we keep it green here, it could really, really play in late in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keeping an eye on the gaps. Armstrong, Rossi, battle, getting on. Rossi closing the gap towards Armstrong. Armstrong 7th, Rossi in 8th. The number 7 car looking for 7th position. Lap 203 of 250.
Notice the kind of wiggling Rossi has here as the pavement switches right there. Been interesting, especially getting back onto that new pavement. The front gets so much grip, it almost wants to send the back of the car around with it. That's how Ericsson lost it during practice. And that might have been how we saw Palou lose it there going out of it. But it is 100% McLaughlin in control of this race right now, unless we can see Pato reel in the leader like he did with Alex Palou just a week ago.
Joseph Newgarden in 4th, still in a good position at this point of the race. With 45 laps to go, he's going to have to put his foot to the pedal and get on it if he wants to get up a little bit further. His last lap speed was 166.006. McLaughlin 165.1, so a little bit of an improvement there. 9/10 of the gap.
Really want to see points as they ran again here, because with Palou out, and also with power still out of a factor here,
I can give you points as they run. Hold on.
Both Dixon and O'Ward are really, really going to have a payday here.
Never mind, they've not got it enabled. Probably because it's not working. Because everything likes...
Most likely, yeah.
Messing up. Probably why they're not showing it. Because it's broken.
So despite the chaos of this early season and the mistakes that we've seen from this young man, Pato O'Ward, he's, much like Marcus Ericsson, put together a consistent middle part of this season. So too for Rinus VeeKay, who's kind of had the consistency since we last talked at Barber, Josh, but just has not had the good luck to really get a solid result here for this Ed Carpenter Racing team.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go in towards turn 3. Turn 4 now. Nolan Siegel in the number 6 car. A little bit of lag from the TV pictures. Back with you though. And yellow's on the raceway, and we will see why. And it's the number 8 again of Linus Lundqvist.
Not sure why specifically. He's kept it running, but he looks like he's going to park it on the apron here. I'm not sure if there's something he sees that we haven't, or if it's some kind of engine failure. I'm not too sure.
Yep, we'll have to see what they decide to do. And
it has
another
been a terrible
restart coming up, Jackson, for you.
Yeah.
But let's go down and see what Tom Gaymore has to say.
Could there be another sting in the tail? That's the caution that many at home may have been wanting or hoping for. You wouldn't be if you're Scott McLaughlin or a Scott McLaughlin fan, because now he's going to have to fend off Pato O'Ward and Scott Dixon again at the restart as Linus Lundqvist gets towed into pit lane. And don't forget, Joseph Newgarden, has he got something up his sleeve? Well done everyone who has stayed up wherever you're watching in the world, predominantly in the UK of course, keeping me company, but also for watching this, the first of the double header or the races here this weekend. We'll be back to do it all again tomorrow, circa 15 hours between the two races, a phenomenally short period of time. And for the teams, they've normally got an 11 p.m. curfew. That is going to be lifted for tonight, because actually they're going to have to do a lot of work on the cars. They're going to have to change a lot of the components on the right-hand side of the cars because of the forces around this Iowa circuit. They want to run tomorrow with everything fresh on that right-hand side of the car, push rods, suspension pieces, uprights, that kind of thing. We've already seen a wheel shift from Graham Rahal. And don't forget, teams that have damage, well, they're going to be working heavily into the night after a long day in sweltering heat. There's been heat warning here. You can see Scott Dixon's visor open. He's desperately trying to get some fresh air into that helmet. But for the teams that have crashed cars, it's going to be a really long night and a very, very long day again tomorrow. Think of them. Right, track is clear. We're about to go green very, very soon. I'm going to hand back now to the NBC team, who are hopefully going to take us to the checker flag.
Lap 215 out of 250. Track's cooling down, but things are just heating up here for the Hy-Vee Homefront 250, as we've gotten a heck of a show here so far, and more coming tomorrow, as Hy-Vee, as always, has given us such a fantastic show here. To have corporation that's come in and supported this race here in Newton, Iowa, and Josh Turner, to see this race weekend kind of not only stay as a doubleheader, but essentially turn into a festival, something pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely is. Always a weekend to remember here at Iowa. And we are on lap 216 of 250. 36 laps to go. And they are taking time to sweep the track under this caution as well. It's McLaughlin, O'Ward, Dixon, Newgarden, VK, your top 5. Ericsson, Armstrong, Rossi, Kirkwood, and Nolan Siegel keeps his top 10 place.
Got an update for you on Linus Lundqvist. Again, not entirely sure as to why that happened, but he has gotten that car refired. The number 8 American Legion machine back on track, but 7 laps down.
So 7 laps down is that number 8 car. And continuing to complete laps under caution. There is Scott McLaughlin waiting to get, and Jackson, this is something that you will like. I've just got a tweet from Chris Ridderhard. Points as they run. Here you go, Jackson.
Thank you.
Alex Palou, 337. Patro Ward, 298. Scott Dixon and Will Power, 293. Scott McLaughlin, 277. So Alex Palou still leads 337 to 298. Patro Ward. Jackson, sweepers are being removed from the track. Safety teams are being removed from the track. We will be getting going shortly.
Looks like it. Maybe about 2 more laps to green, I'd reckon. But we're really in a point right now where, at this point, we're seeing everybody staying out. We would have had maybe some takers to pit row, but seems like on-track position is such a luxury here compared to the potential grip that the new tires bring that I don't think it's even a factor.
Yeah, race control are working to get the sweepers off the track, and we should be going in a couple of laps time, is what I've got in finishing up in turn 4. The safety teams. Look at the difference of the visors between Newgarden and McLaughlin.
Newgarden's got to be struggling to see. They're remaining with the tinted visor, but we were talking about the glare earlier when we were riding with Scott McLaughlin, Josh, and the kind of world of hurt he had to be in.
Here we go.
Back to green here. Big wiggles from Newgarden further back. Award is less than 30 points away from leading this championship. A win here could really, really help. Can Joseph Newgarden potentially make the comeback of a generation? The Corn King himself, Scott Dixon, can he somehow pull magic out of a hat once again? Let's find out. Let's try finishing this thing. Green flag flies again. Great move already from the green machine. Down low on Marcus Ericsson. Further back It is somewhat around the outside of Alexander Rossi. Great run for Joseph Newgarden as he tries the outside of Scott Dixon. No move there. Marcus Armstrong trying to make a move around Ericsson. Nothing yet. They're still standing the way they started, Josh.
I don't have all the high-speed cameras and that. A little bit of contact between Ferrucci and Kirkwood. Turn 2, very close. Wow. Ferrucci gets the move, but I think a couple of drivers were out of position at the restart once more. Ferrucci went straight up the inside of Armstrong.
100%.
Well.
That could be another penalty for him, which would be so disappointing for the 14 because he's been like a rocket as he's managed to shoot himself back up to the front as further back people are trying to get around a slowing Marcus Armstrong. Could this be a caution potentially?
Herta's round.
Whoa, big change. Big slide there for Colton Herta. And the caution flies once more.
Premature caution there for the IndyCar team. It was thrown after Herta had got it going again. But Armstrong was slowing. But that will help him.
Might be an exchange of emotions there between Herta and Siegel, as I believe there might have been contact. That whole incident, I want to say, started because Armstrong got out of the way. Well, let's watch the replay here as Herta tries to get around his old teammate Alexander Rossi.
Just lost it.
Just loses it on his own. Again, I want to say with that surface change, great effort there for Marcus Armstrong to keep it low and out of trouble.
I found out why Marcus Armstrong was slow. He was black flagged because his tail light was flashing. And he was told to come in and fix it.
So that was probably the reason the yellow might have flown in the first place then, Josh.
Possibly. He was slowing to come in. We're waiting to see if there is any penalties for out of line at the previous restart. No, I'm not a race steward, but I will say there will be. 25 laps to go and we're under caution again.
Cautions breed cautions, but in ways that you maybe wouldn't expect here, as Colton Herta is still in the progress of trying to figure out where he's supposed to go here, whether it's in front or behind Nolan Siegel. And as you were mentioning, Josh, a lot of guys seemed offline there during that restart, so I think we're going to have to wait and see if race control, Kyle Novak, and that whole crew are going to dish anything out here before we go back to racing.
Yeah, absolutely. 24 laps to go. And Colton Herta in 12th. And then at the front is McLaughlin and O'Ward. Then it's the first Honda of Scott Dixon. Then it's back to Chevys with Newgarden and VK. Then it's the second Honda of Ericsson. Chevy of Ferrucci. Honda of Kirkwood. Chevy of Rossi. And then the Honda of Armstrong. That is your top 10 with 23 laps to go. Under caution once more here at Iowa. Let's go down pit road.
Than most. So after he'd stepped in and saved from crashing the car, Rob Edwards, his strategist, said, "What's going on there? Everything okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I just went sideways and saved the car, nearly crashed it. And then I should be in front of Siegel immediately." He was already focused on Siegel passed me under the yellow. By the way, they have said the order is correct and Siegel will stay in front.
Makes sense. And we're getting one to go.
Spinning. Yep.
So we will get going with 21 laps to go. Keep an eye on Nolan Siegel. And the pace car rolls off. And will caution breed another caution? We're single file. Keep an eye on anyone who comes out of position before the green flag is thrown. Yellow flags are in. We are getting ready to go with 21 laps to go. When will McLaughlin go? O'Ward is right behind. When will they go? He goes now. Good start. And he goes with them side by side, further back, 3 wide. And we're caution. There's a spinner down at turn 4.
Potentially jumping the start. Oh, yeah, way back there. Coming into what the tri-oval would be, I suppose. And oh my gosh, is that Kiffin Simpson?
Ed Carpenter.
Ed Carpenter.
And I've heard the 30's also stopped. Pietro Fittipaldi is also stopped there. Could that be airborne? Because look at where the damage is.
It's possible. Hard to tell based on what we've seen already here. As I'm hoping that Pietro is okay. He's seeming concerningly slow to get out of this car. Ed Carpenter exiting now on his own power. As I do want to see a replay here. And thank goodness Pietro.
Oh, power was involved.
Well, see, yes, look at the front left there. Almost completely skewed.
Definitely a suspension issue. Fittipaldi's out. Take us through the replay, Jackson.
Riding with Pietro here, as don't think the green flag has even shown up on the flag markers.
No.
Gets sent to Kingdom Come by, I believe, Will Power behind. Collects Ed Carpenter in the process.
Here's Power.
Let's see. Wow. I mean,
that's definitely on Power, 110%.
Yeah. I mean, with that, you get why some guys might want to be out of line. But on the other hand, you've got so many people who maybe are struggling to get going or know the cues without, you know, bumping the guy in front of them in the conga line. It's hard to tell. 12 crew fast at work here trying to get that Verizon machine back out on track.
Yep, but with only 18 laps to go, that is effectively done for the day. They may get it back out on track, depending on how long we stay under caution. And
broken toe links, which is a relatively Lego-like solution.
Armstrong no longer has to pit for the flashing light.
Looks like that's something that resolved itself. I'm not sure if he still might get a penalty because of that.
There's the points as they run again for you, Jackson.
So that bumps Power now into 44 out of the lead, tied with Scott Dixon. McLaughlin down to 60. Award 38.
Look at the rear of that Ed Carpenter car.
Oh my gosh. Completely destroyed rear end for that car. Fittipaldi relatively unscathed here. Let's watch this replay again here.
Wasn't even at full speed, because they hadn't. It was at restart speed.
And you could argue that's a spacing issue for Pietro, but he was maybe half a car length closer from maybe causing the same thing himself.
Power back out, only a couple laps down. Good work from
I would not be surprised if Kyle Novak puts him in the box for a lap or two here as a result of that, as the AMR safety team has just now managed to get that 30 Luther machine of RLL up on the wrecker. So still probably about 5 laps before we see the green.
Which isn't really the biggest penalty, as he's already multiple laps down. We'll see if anything else comes out of that, and we'll keep you updated if anything happens post-race. I know, Jackson, you'll definitely keep everyone updated, because you're on the Race 2 broadcast.
I'm that guy.
You are that guy. Let's go down Scott McLaughlin.
Well, he's doing good restarts right now. Sort of messed up one way back when, but yeah, these have been good. So he's get one more in here. I think that's hopefully everybody will get through it and everything, and we can finish this off.
You know, there are some aggressive people behind him, Pato Ward, and then the master and Scott Dixon. What level of concerns do you have?
Well, the one thing that's helping is they're in the championship hunt and they need points just as much as anybody else. So I think that'll keep them a bit calm in the situation. I don't think they have to be aggressive. So hopefully that maybe Joseph can do something with them and we can make this a team deal.
Thank you, Kyle. Dylan.
Want to just give a quick shout out to Renus VK. Started 13th, is running in the 5th spot right now, in position for his best finish in a couple of months, all the way back to the Indianapolis 500. We know that Renus is aggressive and not afraid to make moves, but this has been a really patient, really mature drive for him today. The team has kind of been on him just about making sure he maintains his pace and takes care of his tires. They've been in traffic a lot today. That abuses the tires more than if you're out front. Renus has done a great job just trying to hold on to a top 5 now.
And that would be his
fills North Carolina's very own Kyle Moyer, manager of that number 3 team we heard with, as well as understandable praise there from Dylan Welsh on such a mature race VK's ran. As you mentioned, his best best finish since the Indy 500. Let's see if we can have that. And let's see if we can watch Scott McLaughlin get his first oval win here, back to green with just 13 laps to go. Already some big moves from Marcus Ericsson as well as Santino Ferrucci. 3 wide going into turn number 1. Ferrucci out like a rocket, trying to make his way around Rinus VK for 5th. Side by side into turn 3. Ferrucci will back out and they'll stand the way they are for now. Great move from Ferrucci. 2 positions already made up. Then it's Ericsson and Kirkwood, the 2 Andretti's in 7th and 8th. Rossi in 9th, Armstrong 11th.
That was very close to contact. There may even be a little bit of wheel banging there from VK and Ferrucci, but they're still continuing round the circuit. We are about to hit 10 laps to go in this Homefront 250 on the Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend. 10 laps to go. The call, McLaughlin 6/10 out in front.
Still not over yet for Scott McLaughlin. Meanwhile, Ferrucci trying to dig here on Rinus VK. Could be a fantastic result for both of these gentlemen if they just keep it clean. Could we see potentially heartbreak between these two if they come together? And could we see Marcus Ericsson and Kyle Kirkwood get a real gain as a result of that?
It is possible. Just having a look at anything. Will Power has been assessed a stop and hold penalty for avoidable contact. That is for 30 seconds. So 30 second stop and hold penalty for the number 12 of Will Power, and he goes down into pit road to serve that penalty, and there it is. We see on our screen he gets released now, and Scott McLaughlin setting a new overall best lap time, 18.395.
Cooling track, open air, is just able to totally dig that gap out of Pato O'Ward. Newgarden up into 3rd there in that restart. Something we missed out on, but what a recovery drive there. Let's see if he can make anything happen here with 6 laps to go.
6 laps to go. We see what the gap is. Command blue for Will Power in front, but Will Power will give Scott McLaughlin the toe. He goes round the outside. Joseph Newgarden has the overall best time now. Will Power back down into pit road.
Bit of an incident maybe for Marcus Ericsson. He's dropped down to 9th and given that 8th position to Alexander Rossi. Might have been more of those same surface change issues he struggled with all weekend. O'Ward, though, has gotten that from about 0.8 to 0.5 here, as this could maybe not be over, Josh.
Yep, here we go. We see what the gap is now with 3 laps to go. It's 0.640 of a second, just over 6/10 of a second. 3 laps to go. The sun has set. The moon is rising. The lights are taking over the primary source of light here. 2 laps to go of the Hy-Vee Homefront 250.
It's going to have to be a Hail Mary or a major screw-up at this point to see something happen. And obviously overtime not a factor. So if Scott McLaughlin can just keep it green here, we are going to see his first ever oval on the win. Oval win, white flag here.
Here we go. Scott McLaughlin in towards turn 1. O'Ward half a second behind, but it's not enough. McLaughlin down the backstretch in towards turn 3. Scott McLaughlin goes out of turn 4 to win the Hy-Vee Homefront 250 and his first ever IndyCar win on an oval. Scott McLaughlin is your Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend race 1 winner ahead of Pato O'Ward, Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon and Rinus VK with a top 5 finish.
Great run there from McLaughlin. Kept it clean all day, got around Herta and showed that he was the man to beat. Fantastic drive from O'Ward and especially Joseph Newgarden. What a recovery drive for the number 2. Overall, some fantastic drives here. Obviously, all at Colton Herta's loss there, but just something that was so out of his control. But a man who's gotten a handful of wins already here with Team Penske gets his first one on an oval.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is Scott McLaughlin. An incredible race. I think we can both agree. A dominant race from Scott McLaughlin.
Oh, 100%. Only 2 leaders this whole race. McLaughlin with the high majority there after the Herta incident. And I would not be surprised if we see Scotty Mack burn it down.
176 on-track passes. That is all. 3 lead changes and 2 race leaders. That is all Scott McLaughlin. Steering wheel off. Padding off. He climbs out of his race car. The top 3 on the start line will get the winner's interview, and then we'll have to get final thoughts to sign off, as someone is meant to be in the car in around 2 hours' time going to Donington Park.
How about this little Formula 1 style grid stop here? I like this, or podium stop. I like it.
Yep.
That's new.
He gets out the car. He punches the air. He punches the air again. He cheers the crowd on. The crowd cheers him as he jumps out of the car. He celebrates. He jumps off his car. Scott McLaughlin is now an IndyCar Oval race winner.
Was the big maybe when Roger Penske signed this man. We knew he could drive fast, but how could he do on the ovals? And especially after Indy this year, I think a lot of the silence has been shut down. Well, let's go down to NBC and hear from the man himself.
And that's been the only thing he hasn't conquered here. Next, I'm sure he's going to say, is winning a championship. So this one is special, and Scott McLaughlin is going to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. Give me a beer.
How did you get it done?
I can't have a beer tonight, unfortunately. But the XPEL Chevy is unreal. What got it done tonight was the pit stops, the team. Got me out in front of Herta there, and we should have showed our pace. And that's a big deal today, man. I've been working on that for a couple years. You know, it takes a lot of hard work, and I got pipped to the post a couple of years ago, and it stung. So I'm really stoked for all this whole team. Proud of the whole team at Penske, and we've got another race tomorrow. We start from pole, so let's go again.
When you break through and do something you haven't done before, is there the possibility that opens the floodgates? What's possible for you now?
I never was going to call myself an IndyCar driver and try one on an oval, so I'm going to call myself an IndyCar driver now, if you don't mind. But I don't know. Hopefully the floodgates open. We bloody need them too, because we're a fair way behind in the championship, but we'll see how we go.
Well, you've made up a lot of ground now. You're back to 5th in the championship. Scott McLaughlin has won on an oval in IndyCar.
There we go, Scott McLaughlin, winner's interview there, and Leonardo asks how many cars on the lead lap. I predicted 6, yep, 15 on the lead lap. We bring Jackson back in. What a race, a dominant race for Scott McLaughlin, and an incredible race to win his first ever oval win in IndyCar.
31 years young from Christchurch, New Zealand. We've been seeing this man slowly evolve into an IndyCar driver, and you compare it to guys like Romain Grosjean. This guy got thrown in the deepest of deep ends driving for the captain, Roger Penske. And I think well into the first season here, you knew he was going to be something special. But I do think it's funny. He was telling Kevin Lee, I wasn't going to call myself an IndyCar driver until I won an oval. And I think maybe that's a little bit of a hard sell on himself, considering the success he's already had in this series, especially after Indy this year. But if there was any doubts before this, I think he proved just what he's capable of tonight, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is an incredible race. I think we need to mention just quickly before we sign off, Rinus VeeKay, top 5 finish.
100%.
Then Santino Ferrucci in 6th, Nolan Siegel in 12th as well.
100%. Great finish for Nolan Siegel. Best finish of the year so far with McLaren, I believe. Santino Ferrucci, who's had a monster season, handful of top 10s here, might actually finish top 10 in the championship if he keeps this going, and would not be surprised with how oval heavy this tail end of the season is. And for Rinus VeeKay, again, it's just been bad luck back and forth for this whole Ed Carpenter Racing team. Hopefully first of many top 5 finishes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's quickly go through the full classification before we get ready to sign off. Scott McLaughlin wins, then Patrick Ward second, Joseph Newgarden third. Then it is in fourth, Scott Dixon. Venus VK is in the top 5. Then it's Ferrucci, Kirkwood, Rossi, Ericsson, Armstrong, your top 10. Colton Herta is in 11th. Then it's Siegel, Rosenqvist, Simpson, Stingray Rob rounds out the top 15. And then a lap down, Rahal, Leg, and then 9 laps down, Power, then multiple laps down, finishing on lap 228, Fittipaldi and Ed Carpenter, then 21st, Lundqvist, Lundgaard, Palou, Grosjean, Hy-Vee, Malukas and Canapino. Here is the look at the standings after race 10. Alex Palou leads on 336, 37 behind is Patrick Ward, 43 behind Power, 46 behind Dixon. Then Scott McLaughlin is 59 down, 66 down is Colton Herta, 76 down is Kirkwood. Then Rossi is 86 points behind, 115 points behind is Joseph Newgarden in 9th. And then finally your top 10, Felix Rosenqvist rounds that out, 127 points down. We come back up, we bring Jackson back in. Final thoughts. Jackson, what did you think of that race?
Unfortunately, I think a lot of anxiety is for the opening of this with the repave. Not even the hybrids. I think just the repave kind of took a lot of what we were hoping would still be here out of it. I think the biggest solution to that is going to be hopefully some more yellow flag running tomorrow. And who knows, maybe even heating up the track and having that daytime running tomorrow afternoon will kind of take grip out of the car and give us some more side-by-side action. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. 12 PM Eastern, 5 PM British summertime for race 2 here at Iowa, and completely different temperatures. We had a heat warning today. We'll see how hot it is tomorrow, and if you join us there, we'll be happy to see you there. Scott McLaughlin, dominant win for his first ever oval race win. I've been Josh T. He's been Jackson Lambos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at 5 PM British summertime, 12 PM Eastern for race 2. See you then.